Students, in the previous video sessions, we have discussed about EMF induced within a coil and how magnetic flux undergo change. Based on change in the magnetic flux, how EMF is induced, how current is induced, and induced power. All those equations we have derived. Now, the second concept of electromagnetic induction is motional EMF. So what does this motional EMF mean? As we already know that EMF induced in the coil is equal to minus delta pi divided by delta t. This is equal to minus delta into B dot A divided by delta t. Area of cross section for a coil can be equal to length into breadth. I'll just substitute that here. Minus B, I can just bring it out. L is length of the conductor, I can bring it out. Remained is delta B divided by delta T. So you can simply write delta B divided by delta T is change in breadth with time, called velocity. So I can replace this delta B by delta T with velocity V. So simply you can write it as minus B into L into V. Therefore, EMF induced will be written as BLV, where B is magnetic field, L is length of the conductor, V is velocity of the conductor. So from the same equation, from this equation, just I have got another equation which defines motional EMF. This defines motional EMF. Now, what is motional EMF? Let me explain theoretically using this figure. See, in this figure, we have two rails. These are conducting rails. This is one conducting rail. This is another conducting rail. And you are taking a rod. This is a rod. A rod is connected between two conducting rails, and there is a bulb which is connected over there. Now I can move this rod left side or right side. I can move that conducting rod towards left side or towards right side. If I am moving this conducting wire right side, it is total length of the conductor. Length of the rod is L. Is length of the rod undergoing change? Length of the rod is not changing. But as you are moving outward, the breadth of conducting circuit, the area of the loop is going on increased. Say for example, the rod is now coming to this new position. Likewise, the rod can be brought to this new position. The rod can be brought to this new position. So L is length. Length is not variable, but if you observe area of cross section here, this is the area of cross section. Initially, I name it as A1. Now, when you are moving the rod outward from red color mark to the other side, what happens to this area? Area is increased. Still, if you are moving outward, what happens to this area of the circuit? Area of the circuit is increasing. Area of the circuit is increasing, that is represented with increase in the breadth with respect to time. Therefore, as the area of cross section is undergoing change, the magnetic flux linked with that coil would undergo change. As magnetic flux linked with that coil is changing, it will produce some EMF in the circuit, and that EMF is produced due to motion of rod on the conducting rails. That is the reason why it is called motional EMF, and the motional EMF of the conductor is simply given by this equation. EMF is equal to minus of BLV. So I'll explain question. You try to understand it. After that, you can approach for solution. You have a rectangular loop of length L. This is rectangular loop. I name this rectangular loop as A, B, C, D. And this rectangular loop is placed from infinite current carrying conductor in which current passing is I. And this current carrying conductor current is parallel to B. That means breadth. And this loop is moving away from the current carrying conductor. It is moving outward. Clearly, when the magnetic flux is undergoing change, then only EMF is induced within the coil. You are now supposed to calculate EMF produced in the loop. In order to find out EMF produced in the loop, what is the basic relation for EMF? EMF produced in the coil will be equal to minus delta pi divided by delta T. Okay, or you can write it as B L into V. Because it is motional EMF, you can just write it as BLV, where V is velocity of the conductor, it is constant. L is length of the conductor, that is also constant. B is magnetic field. Magnetic field is not constant in this case. Check it up. This is the formula you need to use here. B is changing as coil move away from current carrying wire. So at this point, at point AD, there is magnetic field. I name it as B1. And at this point CD, there is magnetic field B2. Okay. Now magnetic field B1 and B2 can be simply written in this way. How do you write magnetic field B1? Because of infinite current carrying conductor, magnetic field B will be equal to mu naught I divided by 2 pi, distance of this is x. B2 is equal to mu naught I divided by distance is 2 pi x, this total distance is x plus L. Now if you observe carefully, L is the length of the conductor. Length of the conductor and velocity both are parallel to each other. So the same equation you can even write it like this. It is equal to L into V bar cross B bar. See, in this EMF produced over there, L, V, B, both should be, all the three should be perpendicular to each other, or even you can write it as V into L bar cross B bar. This is cross product actually. Now magnetic field produced due to this current carrying conductor right side, you can use Fleming's, you can use thumb rule, and we can find out magnetic field produced over there. Magnetic field right side, it will be into. Therefore, magnetic field here will be into. And with respect to this magnetic field, length L and breadth B, this is breadth B, which is perpendicular to magnetic field B, and it is perpendicular to velocity V. So therefore, simply you can write EMF induced is equal to magnetic field due to this conducting wire AD and due to this conducting wire BC. It will be B1 minus B2 into length does not contribute any EMF, but breadth will contribute EMF. So therefore it is B, and velocity of the conducting wire is V. Because L and V both are parallel to each other, so you will not, this length L, motion of length L will not contribute any EMF produced over there. So only this B, which is perpendicular to velocity V, will contribute some EMF. What is B1? B1 can be written as mu naught I divided by 2 pi x minus mu naught I divided by 2 pi into x plus L into breadth B into velocity V. This is equation for EMF produced due to this current carrying conductor. And if you solve this, obviously you will be getting EMF induced will be equal to mu naught I L B V divided by 2 pi x into x plus L. This is the total EMF produced with due to motion of the rectangular loop right side. Likewise, the EMF produced within this and the induced current direction is also calculated just by using Fleming's right hand rule. You can identify magnetic field is into the plane of the screen. So thumb finger, middle finger, and ring finger. These three should be placed perpendicular to each other. Magnetic field is inside and velocity is right side. Velocity is right side. So therefore, this velocity is right side. I should put it like this. Yeah. Thumb finger represents velocity and this finger represents magnetic field. Middle finger represents EMF current produced within the coil. So current produced within the coil is upward within the coil. So therefore, you can take current produced within this coil. It can be upward, and this is in this direction. I can just write it as like this. This will be AD, as AD is closer to the current carrying conductor. EMF produced due to motion of AD is slightly greater than EMF produced due to motion of BC. So as a whole, you can take this as a circular, like a rectangular loop which is moving in such a way. Current will be moving in this direction. It is clockwise. It is clockwise. So current produced is clockwise. Students, so whenever a coil which is moving in the magnetic field as velocity, it has some velocity V, the area of cross section of the coil in the magnetic field would undergo change. So therefore, EMF induced will be equal to BLV, where V is velocity, L is length of the conductor. Now I am taking one loop. This is a loop, and this loop is moving with velocity V right side. So when this loop is coming closer into the magnetic field, there will be some EMF produced. Okay, so let me see here. As the coil is moving inside, what is happening to the effective area within the magnetic field? Effective area is this red color area. That effective area goes on increases. So when it is entering into the magnetic field, the effective area inside the magnetic field going on increases. And when it is coming out, if you observe carefully, when it comes out, you can see this. What is happening to the effective area when it is coming out from the magnetic field? The red color portion is decreasing. Is it not? So when the coil is in motion, when the coil is in motion in external magnetic field, the area within the magnetic field linked to that coil is undergoing change. Therefore, EMF produced will also be variable with respect to coil when it is moving in magnetic field. Okay, that's point number 1 to be noted. So whenever you are dealing with the coil, motion of the coil related to magnetic field, you can simply tell that when a coil is moving in external magnetic field, area of cross section of the coil undergo changes with respect to magnetic field. This induces EMF in the coil. And when the coil is entering into the field, EMF increase, and when the coil is moving outside, EMF decreases because area of cross section is decreasing. See, first this is the coil. Okay. When it is entering, half part of the coil is inside. This is the area which is inside. So finally, this will come back. It will come to this region, like total area will be inside the magnetic field. Therefore, during the total area present within the magnetic field, EMF developed will be constant. And when it is coming out from the magnetic field, what would happen? The area of cross section is undergoing change. Check it up. This is the area of cross section. It is decreasing. So as area of cross section decreases, what would happen? EMF linked with that coil would also undergo change. It too decreases. So clearly you can understand that whenever you are dealing with a coil which is moving in external magnetic field, the EMF also change. That can be represented in the graph. See here. Initially, as the coil is completely out, EMF is 0. And when the coil is entering into the magnetic field, its EMF increases. So it increases. And as the total coil is inside the magnetic field, there is no change in the area of cross section. So therefore EMF remained will be constant. And when it is coming out from the magnetic field, EMF value goes on decreases. Vice versa. It can even move in opposite direction. The same thing happens. So as EMF is changing, potential energy induced with respect to that coil would also undergo change. Now clearly in the animation, you can compare motion of the coil and graph concerned with that and potential energy graph. I'll play the animation now. You can understand all the three simultaneously. You can watch it so that you can have clear-cut idea. Observe now. Area of cross section is going on changed with the coil. When it is entering into the magnetic field, area increases, red color portion increases. And when it is coming out, red color portion decreases. When red color portion is decreasing, EMF will decrease. When red color portion is increasing, EMF is increased. Concerned with that vertical line, you can see what is happening in the graph. EMF increases and then maintain constant and then decreases. Likewise, the potential energy linked with the coil will be also changed. The potential energy first it will be negative, and then when it is moving out, the potential energy is positive. That is the effect of motion of the coil in external magnetic field. A conducting wire of mass m, you have a conducting wire, its mass is m, slides down two smooth conducting bars set at an angle theta to the horizontal. This is angle theta, and this is the wire. This wire is sliding down on these rails. As the wire is sliding down on the rail, obviously area of cross section would undergo change. It produces some EMF. So it is as shown in the figure. The separation between the bars is L. This length is L. The system is located in magnetic field P, perpendicular to the plane of sliding wire and bars. The constant velocity of the wire is dash. So what is the constant velocity of the wire? Magnetic field is perpendicular over here to this length L. So whenever the coil is moving in downward direction and this is placed in external magnetic field, what would happen is there will be a gravitational force which is acting upon that wire as it pulls it downward direction. So gravitational force which pulls it in downward direction is mg sine theta, and that mg sine theta will pull it in downward direction. Mg cos theta is this component, mg sine theta is this component. And this component, which is mg sine theta, should be opposed by some other force which will be acting in upward direction. This is magnetic force in upward direction. Magnetic force should be in upward direction. You can use left hand rule. So when you are using left hand rule, you can write PLV. This is magnetic field. So it is motion of the coil. and this is velocity v. So this is force, it is magnetic field, and this is velocity v. Now if you observe carefully, magnetic field is outward, magnetic field is in this direction, magnetic field is out from the plane. So all the three should be perpendicular to each other. If you use left hand rule, this thumb will be represented in above, like it is upward. Gravitational force is in downward direction. Magnetic force acting on the coil will be in upward direction. As a result, the force acting upon this F upward is equal to F downward. Then coil fall with constant velocity. What is formula for upward force? That is magnetic force. We already know that BIL. F is BIL, which we have discussed in moving charges and magnetism. And downward force, it is gravitational force component, it is mg sine theta. I can just equate them. It is BIL is equal to mg sine theta. But what is this I? I is induced current in the coil produced due to velocity of coil in magnetic field. Now, what is formula for induced current? Induced current, I induced will be equal to BLV divided by resistance R, because I is equal to V by R. V is BLV, which we have already discussed. V is velocity of the coil. This is equation number 2. Now take this equation 2 and use it in equation 1. Using 2 in 1, I can write B into BLV divided by R is equal to into L is equal to mg into sine theta. From here you can write B square L square V divided by R is equal to mg into sine theta. You are supposed to calculate what is the velocity of the coil. So this velocity is often called terminal velocity because net force acting on that coil will be 0. So this velocity V is written as mg sine theta into R divided by B square into L square. This is equation for terminal velocity of the coil. Fleming's right hand rule gives the direction of current induced in the coil. It gives the direction induced in the coil. You can use this for EMF induced is equal to BLV. So whenever we are using formula BLV, we can use Fleming's right hand rule in order to find out induced current. So I induced can be simply written as BLV divided by R. So induced current direction can be identified by using this relation. Induced current should be perpendicular to magnetic field and as well as velocity. So you can just use right hand rule, and in this right hand rule, as shown in this diagram, the middle finger, this thumb finger represents direction of the force, and index finger represents direction of magnetic field. This is B and this is F, and the middle finger represents direction of induced current I. So F B I gives the direction of force, magnetic field and induced current within the coil, and you can use right hand rule whenever we are applying formula BLV You can find out induced current in the circuit using Fleming's right hand rule. So we can use both Fleming's left hand rule and Fleming's right hand rule for different purposes. Fleming's left hand rule gives the direction of force on the current carrying conductor placed in external magnetic field. It is in the chapter moving charges and magnetism. Fleming's right hand rule is used to find out induced current in the circuit, and that is in electromagnetic induction. This is in the past chapter and this is in the present chapter. Both can be simultaneously used depending upon our problem. You should first know that for which cases we will be using left hand rule and for which cases we will be using right hand rule. If induced current is there, then only use right hand rule, Fleming's right hand rule. If there is no induced currents, don't use Fleming's right hand rule. Go for Fleming's left hand rule for finding magnetic force acting on the current carrying conductor placed in external magnetic field. So we already have learned BLV is equal to EMF induced. This can be written in the vector form like EMF induced or voltage is equal to L into V bar cross B bar, or voltage is equal to L into V into B into sine theta, where theta is angle between V bar and B bar. Okay. Now I'll just represent the directions of magnetic field, length of the conductor and velocity of the conductor. Now see here, PQ is a straight conductor and that is moving with velocity V. I can resolve this velocity into two components. One component along the horizontal, one component along the vertical. And this component you can write it as V cos theta, and this component you can write it as V sin theta. Component V sin theta is perpendicular to length. Component V sin theta is perpendicular to length of the conductor. As it is perpendicular to length of the conductor, EMF is induced due to only perpendicular component. So wherever velocity is there, you just replace that velocity with the perpendicular component. Of course, V cos theta does not contribute any EMF produced. That is the way you can directly write down BLV is equal to, like, voltage V is equal to B is magnetic field and L is length of the conductor, and V, instead of V you will be writing it as V sin theta, which is perpendicular component, and this is of course negative. This is equation 1. Or this is one way, or you can even use vector notations. I'll use vector notations. I can use vector notations and I can write down the same equation. So how to use vector notations? Check it up. Magnetic field is into, that will be negative. So B is equal to, I name it as B, and this is along Z axis. It is minus K cap. That is magnetic field. Now velocity V bar can be written as V cos theta I cap plus V sin theta j cap. This is velocity V. And what is the another vector? Another vector is length of the conductor. Length of the conductor is equal to, that is P to Q. So I will just take it as L into I cap. So as a whole, you can write EMF induced will be equal to L bar dot, of course this is dot, L bar dot V bar cross B bar. This is L I cap dot V bar is V cos theta I cap plus V sin theta J cap cross product of minus B into K cap. So it is I cross K and J cross K. You can take cross product of I cross K and J cross K. If you take I cross K, it will become J. If it is J cross K, it will become I. J cross K is I. I dot product with this I will become 0. Therefore, sorry, dot product I dot I is equal to 1 and I dot J will be equal to 0. So this can be simply written as E equal to L into I cap V cos theta into I cross K will be equal to J, and that will be minus J cap into B plus V B into sin theta into J cross K is equal to minus I, because already it is minus K over there. That's the reason why I'm taking that minus here. Now I dot J will be 0. I dot I will be equal to 1. Therefore, induced EMF will be equal to minus B L V sin theta. I dot I is equal to 1. Same answer you will be getting here. Same answer you will be getting here. This is the procedure to use when we are calculating EMF induced due to motion of the coil. You can either use vector notations or directly you can resolve the velocity vector or length vector into components, and you can find out the EMF produced over there.